Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd take a look at this. Now, I was under the stairs having a look for something completely non-vintage junk related, and I stumbled across this. This is one of my car boot purchases from the early 2000s. What we've got Amiga 500. A load of, well, some games in boxes and various accessories and what have you. And I think I picked this up early 2000s. I know it was before I left university. Back when you could pick Amigas up for literally a few pounds, and if I ever saw an Amiga on a car boot sale going for a few quid, I used to just pick them up. And I don't believe I've even actually ever gone through this. I literally used to pick them up, all the time. And for some reason, the entire box, the way it was, this is, I'm guessing how I got it at the car boot sale, just in a cardboard box like this. This is generally how you used to see them for sale back when they were considered junk, with a price on the top, usually a £5, and I'd say, give you a couple of quid for it, and they usually say fine. So yeah, what I thought we'd do in this video is actually treat this as though it was an Amiga that has been just put away, for years. Because it literally has been put away for years. I don't know what state it was in before I bought it, but what I thought we'd do is treat it as though it's an Amiga that, say you had an Amiga in the 80s or the early 90s, and like me, I then went on to PCs. I must admit I sold my Amiga, but say it had got put in the back of a cupboard, and then all these years later it had been rediscovered again. What I thought we'd do is set this up and just go through some basic checks that would be a good idea to do on finding a computer which hasn't been used for many years like this. So we'll take a look at the power supply, we'll assess the computer, we'll just go, rather than just plug it in and switch it on and see what happens, let's take a bit more of a methodical approach to it and actually wake it up in a more, I won't say scientific, but in a more I don't know, what word shall I put on it? Controlled manner. We'll put it that way. Anyway, I'm waffling now. Let's make a start. I'm not even 100% sure what we've got in here. I know we've got the Amiga. I think there's a power brick in here. I think I could spot a modulator in here. I'm not even sure it's an Amiga 500 or an Amiga 500 Plus yet. If it's a 500 Plus, we might have some fun. But we'll make a start, shall we? I'll get this off the table because I don't have that much room. And we'll start. Shall we start where I think a good place to start, really? And that's well, let's get it out and let's see what we've got first. So we've got a somewhat yellowed, and it is a yellowed one, Amiga 500. Can't see any indications that it's the Plus model, so we could be in luck here. Overall condition, like I said, it is very yellowed, but it's got all its keys. It doesn't look bashed out, bashed about. There's no broken slats or anything. It's just a nice aged yellow colour. Let's have a look at the back. I mean, a nice thing to see, we've got no green deposits on any of the connectors or anything. So obviously, if it was 500 plus, first things you look at is when you look at the back here, and if you start seeing the pins green on here, you know you're going to have you're going to have fun when you get inside it. So we've not got any of that. It looks quite clean and tidy. Still has its expansion cover on the side. Still has its trapdoor. It's that size, isn't it? It still has its trapdoor in place. A little bit bulged there, which looks a little concerning. Just seeing the plastic's a little bit bulged there, but underneath we can see it's a model A500. All the usual stuff, made in Germany. Attempted repair, all that. Someone's obviously been in it. The warranty seal's broken. Warranty seal up there's broken. But yeah, we've got what looks like a fairly unmolested Amiga 500. Let's leave this for now and let's take a look at the power supply. And there's no good just plugging this in if we've got a dodgy power supply and we could do damage to what could otherwise be a fully working Amiga. So what we'll do, we'll get that out of the way and let's grab the power supply. Now this is a later supply, and that's an Amiga 500. But this is the I think this is the later supply. I can't remember when they fully changed over, but it's the switch mode rather than the linear. Now I remember I had an Amiga 500 Plus. I think I got that in 1991. I think it was around about 1991 I got my 500 Plus. My friend got one literally as they just come out, which would have been about probably 6 months before I got mine, because he got his for his birthday and he was 6 months older than I was, and I got mine for my birthday. But I remember when his came, it was a 500 Plus, but it came with the old heavy linear power supply. But when I got mine 6 months later, mine came with the much lighter switch mode power supply. So I always presumed that all the 500s came with the heavy brick one, and it was just the very first 500 Pluses that did. But I mean, it could have been that this has been swapped out at, well yeah, someone's obviously swapped this out at some point, and I don't think it was me. That's an Amiga 600 supply. So it's obviously had and it's a bit beaten up as well. It's looks like it's been through the wars. It's a rather bashed up there. The plastic's all cracked. And we can make that out on the camera. It looks as yellowed as the rest of the computer though. But look, you know, it has had some a little bit of damage. This, so I think someone's treated it quite roughly. So it's about as yellowed as the A500 though. Well, you can see the original colour a bit better underneath. But no, that's an A600 supply. And says it looks like at some point possibly the original supply failed, and they've just got a second-hand one or something like that. But first thing we're going to do before we check any voltages on here is just we'll just open the plug up and just make sure that the plug's correctly wired, because if you've not wired the plug yourself and it is one of these rewirable styles, you're always best to check it, because you don't know how the person that worked on it before, whether they knew what they was doing wiring a plug. So let's just go in there and have a quick check, make sure everything's as we want to see it, and nicely. I'll just get you zoomed in on that. This is probably not as interesting for overseas viewers, but if you're a UK viewer and you want to know, that is how a UK plug should be wired. That's someone who ever wired that did a nice job on it. Correct 3 amp fuse. The live's nice and short. We've got a bit of a loop on the neutral there, and we've got our longest loop on the earth at the top there. The idea of that being that if the cable ever gets yanked, it always pulls the live out before it pulls the other wires out, which is just a safety factor. So yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. I mean, most of these that we open up are what we can do. We'll just really quickly just check. This is a little bit of a large screwdriver, but we'll just check that they're firm, because sometimes these terminals do work loose. Those are all really nice and tight on that. Let's get your zoom back out. There we go. So for once we've got a really nice, well wired plug. Like I said, usually they've got a 13 amp fuse in them. The terminals are loose. The wire is hanging out of the card grip there. So first test passed. Yeah, we've got a good proper wired plug. Because this has sustained a little bit of physical damage, normally I would probably now just go on to doing some basic tests on there, but because it's got a little bit of damage on it like that, I think we'll just open this up and have a quick squiz inside, make sure nothing's actually loose or been upset in there. Right, so we just need a posi for that. This one should do. Now this supply hasn't been switched on for a very long time, so I'm not worried about charge capacitors in there, but unless you know what you're doing, it's probably advisable just to do the checks on the DC output of your power supply. So if you don't know what you're doing, everything else I'm talking about is pretty safe. Even checking the plug, I mean, you've got the plug in your hand, you can't get electrocuted off it. But I can't recommend working inside power supplies really, unless you know what you're doing. Let's just have a quick look, see what we've got. There's nothing in there looks untoward at all. It's very simple, this power supply, and that is lovely and clean. Really nice and clean. I mean, we could potentially have these capacitors could be, in fact, that one there is just starting to swell on the top. If you feel the tops of these ones, they're perfectly flat, but when you run your finger across that one, you can just feel a dome starting on there. So really, I mean, we'll carry on with some testing, but we know straight away that really we're going to need to do some work in this power supply. I mean, it's lovely and clean. I think it's fairly low hours. There's absolutely zero discoloration on the board. I mean, you usually, after these have run for many hours, you start, especially like around these big diodes, around some of the power resistors, you'll start seeing the boards, especially on these cheaper Paxilin boards, they'll start to discolour around them areas, and there's absolutely none of that in this. Just see if I can zoom you in so you can perhaps, oops, wrong way, see a bit better. But look, that is a really clean, nice power supply in there. But it is spotless basically. There's no heat damage at all. The only thing that is of a slight concern is that one capacitor there, which has got a slight, and I do mean slight, but I can tell it compared with the other ones, domed to the top of it. So we will probably, not in this video, but we'll probably go back in this and do a recap on it, at least test them capacitors. I think I've got 4,700 in stock, so we should be able to at least change that one. We may end up changing them all. Right, so inspection number one's passed with the fact that, you know, we will have to go back in there because that cap does need looking at. We'll check the, well, it started to dome, so you wouldn't leave it in there. It's not domed at the moment, it's not blown, but it's giving that indication that it's not in its happiest of states. It is probably reaching the end of its life. Just for safety's sake, I am putting the power supply back together before we plug it in. But I'm reasonably happy. It is safe to power up. Right, let's get you zoom back out again. Okay. Right. Let's see if we can check some voltages on here. Right, we'll get that plugged in. Now we're on the power switch. Right, we're off there, so we can switch on the wall there. We can use the power switch actually on the ooh. Right, let's get the meter out. Switch that on. 20 volts is a, oops, yeah, the stand's broken on the back of my meter, unfortunately. 20 volts is a good place to start, and what I'll do is I'll zoom you in on the meter so you can have a look at the what's coming up on the meter as we do this. Right, now make life a bit easier, I'll get a crock lead out. Why do all my crock leads disappear when you need them? I'm looking in the wrong bag. Where have you gone, crock leads? Bear with me a second, folks, I won't be a tick. I thought I had everything I needed for this all ready to go. And then all of a sudden you realise you can't find one of the leads that you need. Oh, sorry, bear with me a minute, folks. I'll just pause the video while I find this cable. Sorry about that, folks, I found it. Right, so what we can do, let's put a clip on the negative there, and we'll go to what I know is the negative on the Amiga connector, which if I remember it correctly, it's a while since I've done this actually. We've got ground there. Can you see what I'm pointing at here? I don't know. Right, basically top right we've got ground, bottom right is 5 volts, centre pin is minus 12 volts, top left is 12 volts, and bottom left is, I think it's a screen or another, I think it's a screen connection. It's not used anyway. So the ones that we're interested in is obviously we need to connect our ground point. So we go ground to that top pin there, and then with our probe we can probe our minus 12, our 5 volts and our 12 volts, and have a look on the meter and see what they look like. So I power the power supply up. Unfortunately we've not had any pops or bangs or anything. Hopefully I'll switch that on, and we'll see if we've got any voltage coming out of the power supply. Right, let's have a look here. So this should be 5 volts. We've got 5.2. Well, that's off load, so that sounds about right. Now this should be 12 volts. That's a bit high, 13.7, but again that's off load. And let's have a look what our minus 12 volts is. Again 13.7, but again that's off load. So I'd be more concerned if my 5 volts was really high. If my 5 volts was, you know, up at 6 or 7 volts, then I'd be concerned, because my 12 volts is high. But what I think we can do is we can power it up, and we'll just monitor the 12 volt line as we power it up and just see what it is like on load, because I'm pretty sure it's going to drop down on load to more like what it should be. So what we'll do is we'll get the power supply out of the way, and we'll give that a tentative pass for now, but it certainly does need some work doing to it. we'll get the computer itself in, and I think what we'll do is we won't just try and power this up. Let's open it up. We'll have a quick look at the disk drive, see what state the disk drive's in. We might just give the heads a quick clean and just a really quick lube on the rails if they need it. We'll have a quick look over the board, and then we'll perhaps have a look at seeing where we can get this thing to power up and see what it does. See if we've got any expansions in here. So I've not even taken the trapdoor off it, so I don't even know we've got any expansions in this thing. Got an idea what colour it used to be. Ooh. It's quite nice getting into a Amiga that's untouched, actually, or at least untouched by me. I'll have another Amiga video coming up fairly soon, because I've got to sort the keyboard on my A600 out, which should be fun, because the keyboards on them are an absolute mare to work on. Right, come on out. It's getting stuck on what's left of the warranty sticker. There we go, extracted. Let's turn this round. Got all 6 screws, which is nice. So I think whoever had this Amiga probably used it for a fairly long time, judging by the fact that they've replaced the power supply, and probably actually looked after it quite well. Oh, right. Let's try and get the. There we go. That's the cover off. Now, it's pretty filthy dirty in here. The keyboard's in a really manky state, but it's pretty much undamaged. Keyboard fluff. Pretty much undamaged. Let's free the keyboard. We'll get the keyboard to. Alright, so we've got no expansions in it. This is a really stock, bare bones A500. I've got so no expansions in there. It's got all its metalwork. Does literally look like no one's really messed with it. I suppose what we should do. I'm actually tempted, because no one's messed with the board. It's not had anyone. It's just full of fluff. Yeah, it's full of fluff, and that was only a little bit there. We can have a quick look through some of the slots, and it does look like no one's been in there. It's not rusty, there's no green deposits anywhere. Like I say, it's a 500 anyway, and with no trapdoor expansion, which could have had a real-time clock battery on it or anything like that. So we don't have any corrosion issues on this A500. I'm not going to take the shielding off it for this video. We want to see if this thing works. What I am going to do is just have a look at the floppy drive. We'll take the floppy drive out, we'll have a just quick clean of the heads, and we'll just see whether it needs any lubrication. Then we'll reassemble this. We'll have a quick look at the modulator, have a quick look at some of the discs that come with it, make sure they've not got any nasty deposits on them, and we'll actually see if this computer is going to work. I mean, in another video we'll go through it properly. We'll do a restoration on it. But I'm just curious to see whether it's going to work, and really just going through some of the bare minimum things. Like I say, if it is your computer that you've come back into discovery of, and it was just put away all them years ago, and it's not a 500 plus, or you found out that it is just a stock 500, or if it's got a RAM expansion, it's not one with a real-time clock on it or anything. I think you should, if you follow the steps that I'm going through here, you should be fairly safe to power it up. But let's have a look at the floppy drive. This is more because we don't want to ruin any good discs. I've not even looked at the discs yet, but them discs could be in perfectly working order, and you don't really want to stick them in a drive that's just going to destroy them. So we'll have a quick look at the disk drive. On the other hand, you know, we will inspect the discs as well, because if this is a perfectly working disk drive, we don't want to really destroy it with some manky discs. A couple more screws at the back, isn't there? Yes. Just find where they are. This could be a possible candidate for pimping out, actually, this A500. I don't know whether I've got it in my mind where should I mod up an A500, but I've got, you know, if I want powerful Amigas, I've got a A1200 with a accelerator in it and all the fancy stuff. But I wonder if I could possibly do a few bits to this and just use it as my everyday game playing A500. Like, looking down there, it's just really dusty in there. But I can't see any moisture damage. I can't see any green corrosion or anything. It does look nice. Right, let's just get that out of the way for a second. Let's get the disk drive in. I'll get you zoomed into the disk drive and we'll have a really quick look over the disk drive. Again, it's in what looks to be quite nice condition. It's a TIAC drive, I think. Yeah, it's a TIAC. Can't see any surface mount caps on it. These are all through hole caps that have been used in a surface mount manner. It doesn't look like it's rework either. It does look fairly factory because it's very neatly done. Right. There was one screw missing from the disk drive, so that might have just dropped out over the years, or someone could have been in. I think someone has been in here in the past. There's normally a screw in the back there holding the top cover on these drives, and it's missing. So I do wonder whether someone's possibly been in here to perhaps clean the heads before. Take the top off. Give the heads a quick. They feel really quite free, actually. Can't feel any roughness at all on the stepper there. It does still even have a bit of grease on it, and it's not gone hard. So I don't think we need to grease this. I think a really gentle clean of the heads with a bit of IPA. And we'll reassemble it and see whether, well, if I think I've got some, even if the discs that come with it are no good, I think I've got some good Amiga discs down here. Right, I've got some IPA. There we go. And we'll straddler on there. We'll very gently just give the heads a quick clean. The bottom one's always fairly easy to clean. It's the top one that can be actually. think these heads are pretty spotless. Yeah, these heads are spotlessly clean. Just dry them off. Just get any excess IPA off. There we go. Right. I think we'll just grab a test floppy disk and just try it in the drive a couple of times. Make sure the mechanism's okay. Let's see what we've got. We don't want to use a disk that we really care about for this, so I think I've got some scrap disks lying around there. Where have I left? Ah, there they are. Yeah, I've just got some they're high density, but that doesn't really matter. Let's give that a quick try just to make sure that the mechanism's okay. Yeah. It could probably benefit from a little bit of grease. So we probably will go through that drive at a later date, but it's certainly good enough for trying to load the disc on. Like I said, there's the heads are spotless. The heads are nice and free to move. The grease on the runners and everything hasn't dried up. The grease on the mechanism hasn't dried up to the extent that it's actually sticking or anything like that. It's a tiny bit sluggish, but it's not bad enough to actually prevent it from working. So this isn't really a restoration of this Amiga. I just want to do the bare minimum assessment to safely be able to power it up and just see how well it works. So let's bring the old Amiga back in and we'll get that connected back up. Because I mean, I've no real plans to do anything with this Amiga at the moment. It'll probably go, after I finish this video, it'll probably go back into storage under the stairs for a bit, to be honest. It's just because my A600's keyboard's out of commission at the moment, and my A1200s are all in storage. I need my Amiga fix, and I thought, seeing I found this, I thought it might be fun, like I said, to see if it does work, and I might just use it for just a little bit. I may just use it for just that, you know, just for a little bit until I get my 600 fully sorted out again. But it does mean I'm limited to disc games. My A600's got a GoTech in it, so you know I've got hundreds of Amiga games on a USB stick stuck in the side of it, and I can play pretty much whatever Amiga game I want just straight away. But being that you do need, especially for some of the games that I like playing, you know, there's keyboard commands and what have you, and if the keyboard's not fully functional, it does make playing a little bit trickier. Right, so we've got the power supply, sorry, not the power supply, the disk drive back in. Let's get you zoomed out. Whoops. There we go. Put the keyboard. Actually, I'm not even going to attempt to do any cleaning in this video. It was just, I'm happy enough with the computer that I can't see any real reason to not to power it up. Right. I think I'm even going to go ahead and put the case back on. fact, I won't screw it back on. That'll do for now. In fact, no, I won't. No, I won't, because what we said we'd do is we'd monitor the 12-volt line, didn't I? Which I think's the brown wire. We can monitor on the disk drive connector there. Anyway, that's a nice, easy place to monitor. So we'll get the power supply in. Right, where's the power? Where's the power? There it is. It's a bit high on the 12 volt, this one, so I just want to monitor that for initial. Because I don't. Basically what we'll do is if I put power on it for just briefly with this monitoring the 12 volt line, and if that higher, you know, it was floating up around the high 13s. If that drops to, you know, in the 12s, I'm happy. If it doesn't and it stays up over 13 volts, we'll use a different power supply to test the actual functionality of the Amiga. So I wouldn't like to leave it running extended at a higher voltage like that. I'm pretty sure actually when I get this connected up, when we actually put it on load, it'll drop. It's just the fact that it's off load. But better be safe than sorry and all that. So, right, we're all set up. We'll switch on there. We've got the Amiga all plugged up. We're not going to bother connecting the monitor up just yet. I'll have to find a cable to. We should have a composite kicking about. Oh well, I'll find a three-way cable so we can test the audio as well. In fact, I can nick it off my 600 because that's set up next to me. Right, so if we go on a ground connection there. No, I think I'm right. I can never remember on these whether red's 12. I think red's 5 volts, isn't it, and the brown's 12 volts. I'm pretty sure that's right on these power supplies. So let's just have a quick check there. We'll switch on. No, that's the 5 volt. That's the 5 volt line. That's not the one we want to monitor. That's the 12 volt line there. So we'll switch on again. And there we are. That's dropped right down to, we're almost bob on 12 volts there now. 11.94. So yeah, it was just a case of the fact that the power supply was floating a bit high because it had no load on it. So we can see our power lights lit there, the old red power lights that these had, and I can hear the disk drive chugging, so the disk drive's seeking like they do. Right, I'll get that switched off and get the I'll just loose the plastic cover back on. I think it looks nicer, doesn't it? Right, we're going to need some wires to connect this up. Now, get that out of my way. We might have to put the power supply on the. Where can we put the power supply? Because it's in the way at the moment. I want to get a mouse and what have you on this. It'll drop the power supply down, I think. That might be better. I don't have a lot of room on this desk, so right, that gives us a little bit more room there. Right, in the box we have, oh wow, oh cool, didn't realise that, we have not one but we have 2 original Amiga tank mice, so that's nice. These are getting quite hard to get now. That one's in really nice condition, then we've got one that's a tiny little bit more yellowed. We'll go with the, I would say we'd go with the tiny little bit more yellowed one, but oh no, the mouse ball was stuck in it, but it has just freed off. That was slightly iffy mouse ball in that one. That's cool, we've got 2 of them. So we'll just stick that there for now. We might need that in a minute. I won't bother with looking at the software yet. We've got is it the A520 modulator. I would like to see if this thing's working in colour, so we will use this. The Amiga, it has a composite output on the Amiga, but it only outputs in monochrome. To get a colour composite signal out of it, you need one of these. And my Amiga to SCART RGB cables up in the attic with my 1200 somewhere, so we'll have to suffer composite for this test, but it's fine, isn't it? I mean, I didn't have when I first got my first Amiga, I basically used it RF. I didn't have a TV that had SCART on it. I didn't for quite some time actually, and then I got a green screen monitor for doing you know, word processing and things like that, but I still used an RF TV for playing games. We'll get that plugged in if we can. I'm going in the right port there, aren't I? No. No, don't try and plug your modulator into your disk drive port, it doesn't work. There we go. Well, while we're round the back, we might as well plug this mouse in, haven't we? Where's mouse? There we go. Well, it's some time since I've played with a Amiga 500. Right, there. So all we need now is to find a couple of straightforward autophonos and we can connect it up to my test monitor. I'll just pause you while I have a quick rummage round and find a few, so back in a sec. Okay, well, I've I've pinched the cables off my A600 and I've pinched this joystick as well, a little joypad, so if we do get that far, at least we can play something. And we'll hook it up to my my test monitor. I'll just get you up. And this is my the test monitor I use. I rather like this. It was a cost me a £5 from a car boot sale many moons ago. And basically, I've got it set up so I've got this little switch box at the bottom here. I can do composite. I can switch RGB SCART, and I need a very basic RGB cable because I can actually switch the SCART RGB signal on that little switch there. Then I've got left, right, you know, audio input. I've also got a VGA cable connected up to this. It does have provision for S-video, but I never bothered routing the S-video down. But like I say, it can do S-video as well. It's just a really cheap early 2000s flat panel TV, analog only TV. And so it was a £5, and it's been a really good little test monitor really. We'll connect up some audio. It would be nice to see whether all the audio works properly. We've got stereo monitors built into the stereo speakers built into the monitor, which is quite nice as well for test purposes. Right, so that plugs in there. That one plugs in there. That's right, isn't it? It's ages since I played with a 500. All mine are buried in the attic at the moment. I only have my 600 out. Right, so that's our video output. A little bit long, so it won't be the best of pictures, but it's sufficient. We'll plug that in there. We'll wake the monitor up. I think I've still got this monitor set up for VGA. Yeah, I have. We'll go to SCART. Select SCART. There we go. We connect select up to SCART. Everything's plugged in. So I suppose all we need to do now is press power on the power supply and see whether anything comes up on the screen. So let's see what happens. Let's power on. Look at that. After all these years, works perfect. well, comes up to the workbench screen anyway, or the kickstart screen. I wonder if we just switch this. Does that make it a little bit clearer for you? Right. What we'll do? Let's have a look at some of this software we've got in the box. Then we've got a lot of original software in here, which is quite cool. We've got. Can you see that? Shadow Warrior. Let's see what we've got in it. And yeah, we've got disc 1. Yep, both discs. And you might be tempted just to literally stick that in the Amiga and get playing. It's not a good idea. Basically, it depends how these discs have been I'll just put the big light back on for this. It depends how these discs have been stored. If they've been stored in perhaps like a damp attic, a garage, or a shed, or that, something like that, you can get basically like a fungus growth on the inside of the disc. And it can be cleaned off with a mild dilution of isopropyl. I've even seen some people use very, very mild dish soap and a cotton swab and slowly clean it off the disc and get rid of it that way, and the discs do still work. But if you put a disc that's in that condition in your drive, all you'll do is gum the heads up on your drive in no time at all, and you'll end up having to strip your drive down and clean it. And it can get so bad that it literally ruins the heads on them. So what you need to do is, when you get your discs, just open them up and use your finger just to spin, basically just to spin the media around. It's a bit tricky to do at first, but when you get used to it, you can just spin the media around, and you're looking for any little odd deposits or discoloration on the disc. This one actually, well, these have been kept, said, under my stairs for many, many years. It's warm and dry. So, and looking at the judging by the computer, I think whoever owned this before I got it really looked after it. I don't think it's spent many, many years in a damp environment like so many of the computers that we are trying to get working again. So I'm quite happy to try them. We'll go through some of the other games and what have you we've got in this box anyway, because I really haven't gone through any of this. You know, I'm discovering it the same as you are. What else have we got? We've got. I mean, if anyone says, "Wow, that's like a really rare game" or anything, do let me know, please, because I'm not into like collecting the software or anything like that. I just like playing the odd game. We've got one called Bad Company. I do like the artwork on some of these old games as well. We've got the instructions, we've got everything in there. Single disc game by the look of it. Do you remember that when you used to get them and the box would have been set up for disc, well, set up for tape, and they just drop a disc in, or your 5 1/4 or your 3 1/2 or whatever. So that's Bad Company. What else have we got? Dragon's Breath. Let's have a look at Dragon's Breath. Fancy spell book. Presume there'll be some DRM of some form in with them books, and we've got the original discs there. Again, one of the boxes that was a cassette box that they'd stuck, you know, they put the discs in. It is actually one that's made for it, this as well. Or is it made for the Amstrad ones? I know some of these boxes, they were made so they'd actually clip discs in. That doesn't seem to fit though. But I remember some of these boxes, they were literally moulded so they could fit any media, tapes, 3.5-inch discs, the Amstrad 3-inch discs as well. My first, one of my first computers was the an Amstrad 6128. So I had quite a few boxes that were like that had the tape thing out. cut out for 3.5-inch disc and the 3-inch discs. Right, let's see what other discs we've got in here. We've got Rogue Trooper. Okay, we've got the manual for it. And they used to give you, decent manual. It's like a comic book, this. Or is it actually a comic book? We've got... Interesting. And then it goes into like a comic book style thing. I'll have to get these... Well, I've not got anything else I can really play on this. I've got a few Amiga games on my shelves back there, but I think they need looking at, and I think a lot of them are A1200 games. So we've got some games we can play on it anyway. So I'm getting Amiga withdrawal symptoms. What have we got here? Sega Arcade Hits, and that feels heavy. That's got more than Sega Arcade Hits in it, I think. Let's have a look. This is eSWAT. I think there's more than that in... Oh yeah. We hit the stash. So we've got copy of Lemmings, Blockbuster's Music, Super Frog, and these are all backup discs, shall we call them. Another Super Frog, another Super Frog. Oh, Deluxe Paint 2. So we've got, I think they were original discs that probably came with a package. Do Not Blank, Kickstart A500. Well, it is a... I don't know what that's for. Didn't you use that with the A500 Plus to drop it to a Kickstart 1.3? Because I remember I used to use one of them before I fitted a ROM switcher to my 500 Plus. eSWAT, eSWAT Disc 2. Let's see if we can find Disc 1. And I think we're missing a Super Frog disc up to now. X-Copy. Everyone remembers X-Copy. The Pirate's Friend. Fish 326. Hypnotic Beats. We might have some old early 90s dancing here. Computer generated dance. That could be interesting. RGB plus focus. Perfect 5. I think there's some music demos in here. Yeah, these look like they might be music demos. Rages of the Lost Ark. That's a good game. Super Frog Disc 1. So we do have all of Super Frog. I know I've got it for the A1200, the AGA version of Super Frog, but I didn't think I had the non-AGA version of it, so that's quite useful. Z-Out. I remember playing that. Fortunately, it looks like we're missing eSWAT Disc 1, which is a bit of a shame. What shall we try? What shall we try? I tell you what, if the disc's alright, because it's a classic, let's try some Lemmings, because I've got the mouse plugged in. And then we might, if Lemmings works, and if the disc's okay anyway, we might try one of them demo discs and see what demos we've got. Let's have a quick look at the disc. Yeah, that looks... I'll just give it a quick spin. The disc looks perfect. Yeah. You can turn it round and just... Yeah, the disc looks absolutely fine. Because it's been kept in good conditions, and I should have a feeling that whoever I got this off probably looked after their Amiga. I don't think it's spent any time in a damp environment, so I think all these discs will be okay. But it's always well just to, before you run a disc that's unknown, just have a quick spin round and just inspect the media like that, just to make sure it is going to be okay. But let's stick that in the drive. And let's see what happens. Sounding good. I'll switch that off so you can see the... That's not looking good, is it? Let's see. Doesn't it usually come up with a diagnosis? That doesn't look healthy. No, I don't think that's going to work somehow. We'll give it a quick control Amiga. Give it one last try. No. Wah, wah, wah. We'll perhaps have to take that off, so I don't think I can. We could have an iffy drive. Yeah, because that's not sounding too healthy, is it? Let's take that disc out. It doesn't score the disc or anything, so I don't think. We'll try a different disc. It could just be that that's a bad disc. But unfortunately, I don't have any really proven discs, because I tend to use a Gotek on my 600, and all my other Amiga stuff is currently in storage. Oh, unfortunately, this is a used Workbench. These demos, I don't think we can boot without a copy of Workbench. Let's see if we've got anything. Let's try Super Frog. Let's see if that is going to do anything. Because if this loads, then we just know that that lemon disc's no good. Nope. Could be a bad disc, but it does look like we may have a disk drive fault after all. Let's try something else. Let's try this Hypnotic Beats. Oh! Right. So perhaps we do have some bad discs there. I mean, you do get bit rot after many years. Let's make sure we've got some volume. We've got mouse control. The mouse doesn't seem to be working if we do indeed. Oh. There's a lot of 50 Hz buzz in the background. I don't think that's my monitor. No, it's not. See what else we've got that might run. We can discontinue Super Frog, seeing this one doesn't seem to want to do anything. Right, I found we've got Fish 326 we can have a quick look at, and we've got another music disc. And we'll try one of these games as well. But I don't seem to have any mouse control there. Right. Hang on a minute. Let's eject that disc. The drive is a bit on the sticky side. The drive's definitely going to need some help. Yeah, drive's not happy. Don't think it's quite. I mean, it looked fairly lubricated and it was working, moving okay before, but well, that's gone in this time. I think it is going to need fully stripping down and lubing that. At least we can prove that the mouse works, sort of. It doesn't like moving left, the mouse, but it does sort of work. Let's see if we can hit a retry. So again, the tank mouse is going to need a bit of a going over. That's not exactly happy. And that's not looking like that's wanting to load. I wonder if after we've gone through the disk drive on this thing, it may actually start being able to play some of these that aren't loading. Alright, let's try some. We'll try these last two discs, and then I think we'll call it for this one. Do a quick control Amiga. See, it allows the disc in okay, but the eject's a bit iffy on it. And that tank mouse is definitely a little on the iffy side. So it moves right, no problem, but its left's a bit leaves a little bit to be desired. And I'll notice again there's a rather nasty buzz on the right hand channel. If I pull it, it goes away. Actually, I might have lost a channel on the. I've only got one side of my speakers working for some reason. But even if I switch the two over, I've got a buzz on both sides. So we've got a definite 50 Hz buzz on the audio. So that probably leads that the audio caps are probably not in the best of states after all these years. Unfortunately, I've not. Let's see if we can just plug that joypad in and see if we can have a quick squiz around. Pity a lot of them discs at the moment don't seem to be working. But I think for a service of the drive, and we might be in better luck in that respect. I'll have to get my head round there again. I can't see it to plug it in. There we go. I know you're not meant to plug it in while the computer's on, but we all used to do back in the day. Oh, it's F. Right, let's try this. F1. So some of these games are for the 1200, so they might not work on this, but we'll see. A little bit of corrosion on the RF shield round there, just noticed, but it's only very, very minor. I don't know what we're a little puzzle game or something. I haven't got a clue what that is. Let's get out of there. Let's try this last disc. See that ejected that time, even though I had a load of cables in front of it. That was it. Got this last music disc to try. We'll see if this will do anything. You can definitely hear the issues with the audio though. Let's try the other channel. I'll have to see if I can fix that. I don't know why we've lost. That's a fault with my monitor. That it's nothing to do with the Amiga. We can't really fully test the audio, but we can certainly tell that there is an issue with the audio. We'll do anything with this. The left mouse button on the tank mouse is not exactly in the best of conditions either. It takes a lot of stabbing at it to actually get it to click properly. So I think a tank mouse rebuild will be coming up very soon. We've got a bit of Metallica. Kill 'Em All, that's a Metallica album, isn't it? I don't think I've ever heard Metallica reproduced on a Amiga before. Nothing else to skip to, unfortunately. Stop. Well, we've basically got like a little music jukebox someone's put together. Well, you're limited to in there. You can't increase the volume or do anything like that with it. You literally can just go between tracks. Could be an interesting little thing to play with, maybe. Acid. Obviously, we're not getting the full effects because we're only getting half the thing. Listen to the other half of it. I'm sure it'd sound great if you could hear it all together. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, it was just a quick, well, not a quick, but a long drawn out video, and just seeing whether this old A500 still had some life in it, and it does. It obviously needs some fairly major work to get it absolutely pristine. But I think what we will do is we'll do a few videos on it, perhaps cleaning the keyboard up, seeing if we can improve that disk drive a bit. I have a feeling with a bit of use actually the disk drive will come back, because no, it's going to need some greasing. I think it is a bit reluctant to eject discs, especially, I mean, if you had the case on and you was trying to put discs in and out, you're going to struggle. You're going to be grabbing hold of them with tweezers to try and pull your disc out. So we'll have a look at that. We'll actually get the metal work off, and we'll have a proper squiz at the main board. Might even be worth possibly looking at seeing whether we can upgrade this to 1 megabyte on board. I'm not going to bother getting a trapdoor expansion for it or anything like that, I don't think. It would be nice to have a meg on board. Possibly upgrade the, possibly do something with the Kickstart version on it. Could make a little ROM switcher and have 1.3 and perhaps 2.4 or something like that on it. That might be a useful little upgrade to do to it, and generally just make it so I can use it till I can get around to fixing my A600, because I think it's going to need a new keyboard membrane, and I really don't want to spend out on a keyboard membrane at the moment because money's a little bit on the tight side. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this bit of Amiga nostalgia. So thanks for watching and goodbye.